Thanks very much, and thanks, Councillor Flynn. Right, we have Grania and Chris here. We're going to talk about the Suir Davitt Dolphin Junction upgrade. Who's going to take this? Just press the black button in the middle, but you have to put your card over the whatever you call that thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors, and thank you for the opportunity for us to present the Suir Road Junction. I'm joined by Grania O'Brien. She's the senior engineer responsible for the design of the scheme, and she'll talk us through what we are proposing. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll just go straight into it here. The first, I suppose I have two images here of the Suir Road Junction, and the first one is of the existing layout, which shows the junction is very car dominant. We have Suir Road here, Davitt Road here, Grand Canal View here, Dolphin Road here, and Slieve-na-Mon Road. The image on the right is a photo montage of what the junction would look like if we put in the the improvements that are needed here. So this junction is, I suppose, it has very poor facilities and a lot of problems, and I'll go through them here now in the next few slides. So the junction is a very poor layout, and it needs to be made safer for all road users. The stop lines are set back way back here, which means that a lot of the cars have a long distance to travel to get across the junction. The Luas is crossing here, so we need to make it safer for that. There's very poor crossing facilities for pedestrians. There's no crossing facilities for cyclists, and there are significant delays to the bus service. And there's also a history of flooding and drainage issues at this junction. So this junction has been described as terrible to cross and notoriously dangerous. So the junction at the moment has 5 arms, and I outlined them there on a previous slide, and a very long route for the vehicles to cross the junction. So the junction is operating over capacity and has an awful lot of delays, and it needs to be made safer. So over an 8-year period, there were 11 collisions at this junction, 2 pedestrian collisions, 2 cyclist collisions, and 7 vehicular collisions. So these were reported accidents to the Road Safety Authority. So what we are proposing to do, we want to make the junction more compact and reduce it from 5 arms to 3 arms. So the 3 arms here would be Davitt Road, Suir Road, and Dolphin Road, and bring the stop lines closer. This will give more green times to all the arms here and will optimise the traffic signals and rebalance the timings of all the traffic flowing through the junction. There will be reduced delays then through the junction and improved safety on Slieve-na-Mon Road, because the Slieve-na-Mon Road here would be closed off and there'll be traffic only coming in Slieve-na-Mon here. There'll be increased queuing space along here and a longer turning lane for traffic turning left onto Dolphin Road. Overall, it'll be safer for all modes. At the current layout, there is a lot of incidents with the Luas because drivers are frustrated. They often break red lights or go across on amber, and then because of the traffic congestion, they get stopped on the Luas tracks and stranded. And this has resulted in quite a number of incidences with the Luas and a lot of early braking for the Luas operator. When there's an incident with the Luas, it causes huge havoc and disruption to commuters. The stop lines being closer to the junction, the drivers will have better visibility of the Luas and the opposing traffic. So the shorter crossings will mitigate risk of poor driver behaviour, and there'll be separate cycle and pedestrian facilities here which is close to the Lewis, and a separate cycle facility here for cyclist crossing, which is safer as well. It's got really poor facilities for pedestrians. There's over 5,000 pedestrians crossing this junction every day. A lot of them are going to the Lewis stop, the red Lewis stop on Suir Road. There's only 2 existing controlled crossings here at this junction, and Davitt Road and Suir Road, and they're very long crossings. There's no crossing on Sleafnamon at all, as you can see in this photo, and there's no crossings on Dolphin Road, and there's quite a lot of lanes to cross. And these locations here have no tactile paving, and there's no connection to the canal towpath here from Dolphin Road. So it's very poor for the visually impaired and for accessibility. So the junction upgrade would provide much better pedestrian crossings, pedestrian facilities. So the signalised crossings up here, the existing one in Suir Road will be upgraded, and it'll be realigned. At the moment it's at an angle. There'll be a better crossing across Grand Canal View. There'll be a new crossing here on Dolphin Road and another new crossing on Dolphin Road, and the crossing on Suir Road will be upgraded. And all crossings will be accessible. There'll be audible queues, and there'll be tactile pavings in all crossings, including the one here on Sleafnamon Road. And there'll be audible queues on the controlled crossings. There'll be improved connectivity to the Grand Canal path, which goes up along here, parallel to Dolphin Road, and along here. There'll be better connection to the path here, along the canal, along Davitt Road. And there's an opportunity for new paths through this new amenity area here, which will be created as a result of closing the Sleafnamon arm here. So I said already there is poor facilities for cyclists. There's over 800 cyclists going through this junction every day. And some of the submissions we got were from parents of children who cycle across the junction to the GA club, to GA Good Counsel. There's no controlled or uncontrolled crossings at all whatsoever across this junction. So the new facility here, the proposal that we're planning, would put in protected crossings across the junction here, an orbital crossing provision, and protected cycle crossings here, which would be which have cycle signals, and along here as well as a toucan crossing. There'll be better links to the Grand Canal, Portobello to Blackhorse Bridge active travel route. So there's a future active travel route which will be coming up along Dolphin Road, and it'll be upgrading the path along here. Now this project is Blackhorse Bridge, Portobello to Blackhorse Bridge is still at feasibility and option stage, but our design here will connect into the existing facility that's there, and it aligns with what the future preferred option that's emerging. This layout as well will give a better connection to the GA Good Counsel Liffey Gales Club. There's a pedestrian entrance here. There's opportunity to put in cycle stands as well. This is a view of the layout as well, just showing it very zoomed out. And there's an opportunity here as well where we could upgrade the path within the GA if that was something that they would be welcome to bring the cyclists over to the car park. I said already the bus service is very poor here. You can see in the 2 images here, the bus is caught behind a whole load of traffic here on Sleafnamon Road, and it's caught behind traffic here. There's a new bus route that was implemented recently. The number 73 replaced the 123 service, and this service is the go-ahead bus service. And information that we've got there recently from that bus operator has told us of up to 25 minutes delay on this bus service. At least last week on one occasion, the bus here, which is only supposed to take 2 minutes to get from Sleafnamon Road to Suir Road, was taking 10 minutes. There's 87 buses going across this junction every day northbound, and the same number going southbound every 10 to 12 minutes, and this is something that we need to address. So our layout here proposes to close this arm of Slieve na Mon and put in a bus gate on this arm here. The bus gate is only going in the northbound direction, going along here. So this bus gate will allow the buses to jump the queue. They'll get a green light to get priority to get out into Dolphin Road, and they'll get up, and the light here at this junction will be linked to this junction, so they'll get across the junction much more efficiently and faster. And it'll improve the junction, and the delays to the buses. The current layout as well has a huge hard standing area, a large footprint with all the multiple arms, and it has a history of flooding. Our proposal would improve the landscaping. It would put in, we're proposing extra green areas here at the entrance to Grand Canal View on each side of the junction. Also at Dolphin Road here, at the junction with Slieve na Mon Road, and then as well as putting in suds or other type of greening area in the new public realm area that's created in here. These are bio-retention areas with pollinator planting, pollinator-friendly planting. This new landscape area has opportunity for people to sit, and it's an extra green area. I suppose some of the feedback was saying that the area of greenery here is going to be quite small, and we've already got a green next to it, Galtimore Park right next to it there where the GA club is, but all the green areas will cumulatively will add and help address the issue with the increase in flooding and climate change, which is becoming more frequent. These are some examples of some of the greenery and landscaping that's been put in on other active travel routes, projects that we're doing in Dublin. So there was public consultation done on this project last year. It ran for 8 weeks, which would be twice as long as we would normally do for our projects, and we had 2 public information events. The designs were put on display in the civic offices here and also in Dolphin's Barn Library. There was over 2,000 leaflets dropped out to people to attend, and there was very good attendance at both of these events. So we got a significant amount of submissions in, over 270 submissions from various groups and also from individuals. The big issues that came in the submissions were increased traffic congestion and the rerouting of Slieve na Mon Road. Closing the Slieve na Mon Road caused a lot of concern for people, particularly people living south of Slieve na Mon Road and that surrounding network of roads. I suppose there was also the directness of the cycling route. I suppose there was a request to put more cycle facilities and cycle facilities through the green area. There was concern from some DPO organisations about the shared space. And then there was questions about the connectivity to the Grand Canal Greenway, the right in and right out at Grand Canal View, the two-way cycle track, cycling on the right, pollution and so on. The big issues though was the perceived displaced traffic. And this is, I suppose, a Google image of the road network south of the junction. So the junction is up here. And a big objective of our project is to reduce traffic and to get a modal shift. And we won't get that unless we put in better facilities for cyclists and pedestrians and better bus service. And that's what we're trying to do here. So we will expect quite a number, if with these measures go in, quite a number of people will take alternative modes of transport. And the number of vehicles that were going up Slieve na Mon Road will be reduced quite significantly. And the people that still remain using cars, which there will be and will have to use cars, have multiple different roads to take across the network. We know people have a lot of concerns about this, so what we're committing to do is undertake a lot of surveys and do traffic counts at a lot of key junctions. And these are just some of the junctions we've indicated here. We could do more as well. So we plan to do traffic counts early next year, January, February. And then 6 months after this, our project is implemented, we would do counts again. And if there's a noticeable increase in the traffic or in congestion here, we can look at doing other measures. We could put in traffic calming. We could look at neighbourhood schemes or alternative traffic management measures in this area. If things are really bad, we could look at relaxing the bus gate, or if it comes to it, we could remove the bus gate because it will be built in such a way that it can be removed. So as part of the updated design, we did some changes. We now allow right turn, in the new design, will allow right turn movements in and out of Grand Canal View. We amended the two-way cycle track that there was concerns about to cycling on the left, and continued that further south to connect to the Grand Canal, Portobello to Black Horse cycling route. We put in a new Tucon crossing at Sleafnamon Road, Dolphin Road to connect to the toll path, and the Tucon crossing on Suir Road has been replaced with parallel and pedestrian cycle crossing. We extended the westbound cycle lane along Davitt Road to the Good Counsel GA pedestrian entrance, and we removed the share care facility, which was a concern of some of the DPO groups along Sleafnamon, and changed that to pedestrian only. So the next steps on this project then is I suppose, to complete the detailed design. The consultants have been progressing with the detailed design. There's quite a bit of it done already, and we have to engage with various departments now with this detailed design, the public lighting department, the traffic department, road maintenance, drainage and so on, and parks, and get their agreement with the design. And then the plan is to go out to tender in the spring of next year and commence in the summer of next year. But before any works would happen, we would have a community event. Again, we would do a leaflet drop to inform all the residents in the area of the upcoming construction works and what's happening and what the traffic management arrangements are. And we'll have that an information evening to assist on that and inform people about that. So this is the final slide here, which shows the image again of the existing layout and the proposed layout here. And thank you very much. And myself and Chris can take any questions.
Thanks, Gráinne, and I will take in everybody just to say one thing. I know the junction and I know the difficulties there, and I think a huge amount of work has gone into this, so just thank you for that, Pat. And then Mannix. And for some reason, you have to turn off your own. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks very much to the Active Travel section for the presentation this afternoon. This is the second presentation this area committee has had. I would have liked to have seen more comment, analysis of the report that we received from yourselves following the public consultation, and a review of that public consultation. Because there's a lot of anger in the Drimnagh area that residents and their views has effectively been ignored. And I do have the report on the public consultation here in front of me, and it says 223 submissions were counted by yourselves, of which 61% were broadly in favour, according to the pie chart, 16% neutral, and 23% broadly opposed. But two submissions, one had 590 signatories on it, and the other had 223. That 900 residents who expressed a view of not being in favour, particularly of the closure of Slieve-na-Mon Road, was treated as two submissions. We did have this conversation, and Chair, there was the active travel section as a result of an intervention by our area manager, John McAviney, met with the representatives of Dynamic Drimna last Thursday. And they were very, very, very angry insofar as a misrepresentation on the report of the public consultation. And that's how they seen it, that's how they described it, and I share that view. If you said that 900 and you brought that into percentages, the percentage opposed to aspects of the scheme would be close to 90%. Online applications could have come from anywhere in the city. Indeed, advocates for kind of cycling and so forth, and I believe that is the case. The reality here is that the majority of residents in Drimna believe that the closure of Slieve-na-Mon Road is both unnecessary and will just lead to chaos. The Slieve-na-Mon Road is a gateway into and out of Drimna. The closure of the road and the diversion of the number 73 bus then a slipway is only going to delay the bus. I have advocated before, sort of if we're worried about bus times at the current junction, bus priority lights could be put in. That is going to be the case on the Crumlin Road and in other parts of the city. Nowhere have I seen as a mechanism to speed up the buses, a road being closed. Certainly not being closed permanently and not being closed 24/7. If there's an issue there, it can be tested with bus priority signals at peak times. I'm a bus user and I've been on the previous bus, the 123, the 73 is basically as a replacement of it. And I've asked the question, have any of the active travel team travelled on the 73 bus or previously on the 123? And I believe none of them have. Right? So would you please listen to the people who actually are familiar with that junction, familiar with the bus. Dynamic Drimna want desperately to improve the Drimna area. They're an umbrella group, not a residents group. They represent sports groups, residents groups, all types of groups. And they clearly, and you know from the submission that they made, they want to cooperate, right? But they are not going to agree to the closure of Slieve-na-Mon Road. It is unnecessary. There's some very, very good proposals in terms of improving the junction, but not by closing the road. And I think that we should, as an area committee, absolutely show our concern about the misrepresentation that exists in the report on the public consultation. And I remember, Chair, when this went out to public consultation, asking the question about active travel and public consultation, what if the public says no? And the answer effectively is, well, the active travel section can just go ahead anyway, right? So then why have public consultation? The residents are opposed. So please, as we asked at the meeting last Thursday, go back, consider some of the compromise situations that were put forward by Dynamic Drimna and their representatives. The Good Counsel GAA Club, which is next door, also is opposed to this, and you heard that from their spokesperson last week. So please, go back, take into account what has been said by the residents and redraw the plan. Thank you.
Councillor Flynn.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you very much for the presentation. Again, I would just like to support everything that my colleague Pat Dunn has to say in relation to this. I too have been in touch, and the community there have been in touch with me. What I see rolling down the road here, with all due respects, is Strand Road 2. You know, you're going to have a situation here where there's so many people, you know, who are angered about this and opposed to this and feel like they're excluded. That you could end up, back in the course, and you could end up with huge delays. There is also the issue around the public consultation or the pseudo-participation in relation to the way this is all activated. The problem for me is that this is not really initiated by Dublin City Council Traffic Department. It's initiated by the NTA because they don't have the law. We have the law, the Road Traffic Act, to deliver this. And while I'm all on for active travel, I'm all on for safe cycling, I'm all on for safe pedestrianising, there's a huge cost to this. And as my colleague has outlined here, the amount of people, and they've written to me, and most people are very busy, as you know, Councillor Lacey, and they can't sit down and write single submissions. So they write in a group submission. We get this all the time, and you know they're very valid. What I'd like to see is an independent assessment of all of this public consultation as to what the situation is, because everybody wants, you know, a proper, safe junction to cross. But the beneficiaries of this seem to be the Lewis. You know, that they seem to be like, you know, carte blanche. What I'd like to know is the information in relation to the incidents that happened on the Lewis, the delays, times and dates, and also the accidents, if I can have the times and the dates and the serious nature of those accidents and the outcome of those particular situations. The closure of Stephen and Mon Road, like, you know, it has caused so much division, you know, really. And not only that, but people around the city, I have to say, are very concerned that they're going to face the same issues when it comes to what are defined as confused or entangled junctions, or where there's a mess, you know, where there's a mess of traffic, you know. We are either going to have to turn around one of these days and say, we're going to ban all cars out of the city, and we're just going to have, you know, because it's not going to work otherwise. Because this traffic goes somewhere, as you know, Councillor Lacey. It goes into other areas. I mean, Mercer Street's a case in point, and York Street's chock-a-block, and I'm waiting for a simple light to light the area. So, unfortunately here, I'm not confident about this. I think you should listen to the local people. And it's not everybody with cars, by the way, that are objecting to this. There's many people that are cyclists and walking, and many people have children, etc., etc. But they see it as a situation whereby their voices are not being heard. And again, as I say to you again, this is Strand Road too. As far as I'm aware, people are preparing and looking at illegal initiatives. Have come to me and asked me what way they would approach this if it came down to a situation of a judicial review. And this is not about, like I say, a big planning issue. This isn't about, you know, some massive infrastructural situation. This is where I believe a local community feel that they've been extremely othered. And as I say, at the end of the day, the NTA are paying for this. What's the cost? How is it going to take place? How long is it going to last? And as I say, at the end of the day, is Dublin City Council in all its traffic and all its involvement, local and otherwise, going to stand over this? And how many more of these are we going to be faced with in terms of the NTA saying we want this junction on? Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Sorry for rabbiting on there.
We have Moore, Councillor Kinsella, and I'm not too sure, and Councillor Brown. So Councillor Moore first.
Thanks, Chair. Can you just indicate if you can hear me properly?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, great. Okay. And yeah, just thanks for the presentation. I really do appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I absolutely support the objective of improving this junction. I pass through it frequently myself on a bike, and it's really it's not a friendly junction, and I know the buses, the issue with the buses is really critical as well. I have to say I am broadly I'm really impressed with the final proposal. I'm glad to see that the team has addressed the concerns that I shared, certainly in my submission, about the idea of that shared space. And I think it's important that they're kind of planning for this junction to be a junction where down the road a number of key active travel or cycling schemes for the city will meet. So I know it's really incredibly important that we get this right. On the kind of, I suppose, the most contentious issue being the bus gate, and I know Councillor Dunn has kind of proposed the priority light. My understanding was that the priority light isn't going to work at that junction, but I would just like clarity for the sake of those residents who are concerned about it, that just to know if any other options were considered and ruled out before the bus gate was proposed. I'm conscious on the issue of buses that there are other issues that do frequently delay buses through Drimna, parking being one of those. So just in terms of the proposal or the presentation we got today, I appreciate the commitment has been made to monitor other roads and junctions down the line. And I think that's really important, that we have a willingness to measure the impact and to acknowledge where maybe things aren't working, and to be willing to adjust down the road. But I'm just wondering, within that, are there other measures that we need to consider? For example, something like a neighbourhood transport scheme, would that be something we could consider for Drimna, so that, again, we're not just, we're thinking about one junction and we're planning for one junction, but we're planning for it with a very holistic overview of how traffic moves through the entire neighbourhood. Just to finish, you know, to Councillor Flynn's point that the key beneficiary of this might be the Lewis. Look, the Lewis moves vast numbers of people incredibly efficiently across the city, unless it hits junctions and blockages and cars on the tracks, as does the bus. And I have no issue with our traffic planning for the city prioritising public transport and active travel in that way. I just don't see the point in discussing this over and over again as if it's not a core objective of our development plan, that we all agreed as councillors that we are trying to facilitate efficient active travel in the city and a modal shift to, efficient public transport in the city and a modal shift to active travel, public transport over the private car. It's not a secret agenda. The development plan is very clear on it. And I just, if we're not all on the same page about that, it's kind of problematic. Okay, thank you.
To each other, okay? Councillor Kinsler, I know, come on, Mannix, come on, Mannix, be nice. Councillor Kinsler.
Thanks, Chair. Look, I would echo the thoughts of Councillor Dunn. I was also very surprised by the amount of signatures on those two petitions. A little bit near to where I am myself, there was a Bushy Park Road, there was a filter taken away there on Bushy Park Road, and the residents in the general area weren't informed of it before it happened, had no idea it was coming, and afterwards, for whatever reason it seems, it can now not be taken away. And the level of frustration that I have come across by people in the area not being listened to by, as they perceive it, by their councillors was huge. And I think with that in mind, given the figures of the number of signatures we have, I just think we are compelled to listen to the people who will be living this closure of Cleveland Mon Road on a daily basis. I must confess I won't be, I don't live right there, but these are people who will be at the sharp end of it. The same sort of thing is happening on Kimmage Road West, where the bus gates are going in. I am in favour of public transport, and I do think it needs to be prioritised, but not at the expense of everything else. So as it stands, I just feel we have to take into account and see what we can do and work with the residents of the area. 800 signatures is a lot of people in and around Cleveland Mon Road to ignore, and I think we do it at our peril. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. That's everybody in line, Gronia, or Chris, whichever.
Okay, to answer Councillor Dunn first and Councillor Kinsella, because they're on the similar theme. Our report has acknowledged the submission from Dynamic Drimna. We did state in it the number of signatories that came in as part of the submission. And we have a whole section of the report dedicated to responding to the issues raised by Dynamic Drimna. The report is 27 pages. 8 pages are wholly dealing with the issues that Dynamic Drimna raised. That's a whole, approximately about a third of the report. So 800 is a lot of people, and we take that very seriously. The population of Drimna is over 12,000. So that represents about 8% of the population. At the same time, we are committed to do the surveys before and after to see what effect it will have, what effect the bus gate and this closing of Slieve na Mon will have on the network. Councillor Flynn, once the dates and times of the loose incidents, we can check that out with TII and the Transdev operator and come back. We have some, but they were a bit out of date, so they were quite significant at the time, but we can get more up-to-date ones, come back with you with that. There was a lot of groups supported this project, sent in submissions. They didn't have multiple signatures, but they represent multiple people. Our Children's Hospital group sent in a submission fully supporting the project. Doctors for Health as well, and the Dublin Cycling Campaign. So there was...
Okay,
yeah.
Manny, I'll let you come back in, but let's go on and finish.
Yeah.
Please.
So Dynamic Trimlin were not the only group that sent in a submission. There was a submission from the Grand Canal View Apartments as well, and we have obviously responded to their concern was the right in and right out, and that has been addressed. So there was a few groups that have submitted submissions in this public consultation. Councillor Moore asked about detector, how the priority lights will work with the bus gate. So there will be detectors on the bus that trigger the green light, and the two junctions will be linked. This was looked at with and without the bus gate, and it's shown to operate more efficiently with the bus gate in place. We can look at maybe, putting in some form of neighbourhood transport scheme, traffic calming, or banning sort of left turns, right turns movements, and or 3-ton limits, or other kind of measures or traffic management measures in the area, if it's seen to be causing a problem.
Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. I suppose just to maybe highlight maybe a few items that were raised which underpin maybe the principles upon which we deliver our schemes, is that in the first instance, in terms of the public consultation process, we do follow a process that is quite consistent across all projects based on a 4 weeks public consultation period, accompanied by a leaflet drop to residents, because we appreciate not everybody will have access to the internet. That's why we do a door-to-door drop on the leaflets on the scheme. We then also invite people to an information evening where they can further express their concerns. And the underlying purpose for that is we are all committed to delivering on the objectives of the city development plan. But as we go about doing it, we want to get the local community's views on what we are proposing. And they certainly have local knowledge, and when they make observations on particular items, we take those into consideration. And as you can see in this particular instance, we have gone through all those various items of concern, and have put in appropriate measures to ensure that we address them. So we are very committed in terms of the consultation process, and we are certainly taking into account those elements. Then just in terms of the traffic elements, our analysis would show that the junction, with all the improvements that we are doing in terms of improving priority for public transport, providing safer facilities for pedestrians and for cyclists, we would still be able to get similar levels of traffic through the junction after the measures have gone in, with all those improvements and safety improvements, compared to the traffic that we measured going in during the morning peak period. So that's, I suppose, a reassurance that we would be giving here. And again, we will go back and we have information sessions before the works start in the summer, outlining exactly how the scheme will proceed. One good thing about the scheme, which is the Gronya and the team have put a lot of effort to ensuring, is that they have built in some flexibility in that design, which if we need to make further decisions following the implementation, we haven't put in measures that make the need to allow cars to exit from Slievenamon Road. That flexibility would still be there if it could be justified. We don't believe it will be necessary. We are convinced it will work well, but if it became necessary, it could still be brought in, even if it is time restricted. And I would say again, baskets as a way of improving bus priority, public transport priority, is a system that we have used effectively in the city, and starting with College Green, I think that was 2009 or 2010. And following on that, we did Eden Key, and we have since extended that to Bachelor's Walk. And that shows that bus priority works and gives more reliability to bus times. So I would hope that the clarification that we have provided here would, in the first instance, provide some reassurance to the residents, and we will be talking to them again to clarify aspects that they still remain concerned with, but equally to the councillors, so that we can keep moving on making our city safer for pedestrians and cyclists in particular. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Chris. Can I just ask two questions myself? I'll let you in. One, if you could clarify the decision-making process in this, who will decide ultimately? Secondly, is it only that top bit of Slievenamon that's closing? It seemed to me that it was, but maybe that's different. And thirdly, is there room for engagement with the local councillors further on this, so that as many as possible of the issues that they raised can be dealt with over the course of time between now and implementation? Councillor Joel and Councillor Flynn, just beware, it's 3:15, we're nearly an hour on this, okay? And actually, I didn't call in Councillor Brown. No, my apologies. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to call in Councillor Brown first then.
I was checking. Just to echo Councillor Dunn and Councillor Kinsella, I was at that meeting on Thursday as well. Thank you for the presentation today and the changes that you have made. It is very heated, and it's 900 people, who express their opinion, and I think that we really need to work with the community and the residents there who are strongly opposing this, because I think imposing something that they're not happy with, it's not going to go away. It is at a very high point right now in terms of the temperature, and I think we just need to really work with the community themselves. And I would be interested to know where the decision-making process is as well, because I think that sense of imposing on people and saying, this is it, we hear you, thank you for your submissions, but we're just going to do what we've decided to do, I think is not helping the situation. On top of that is the new bus connects that is going on at the moment. I think that is impacting the community as well. The 73 is not all it's cracked up to be compared to the 123, and I think that's not helping. But I do think we really need to take into consideration the residents who are going to be severely affected by this. And if we want people to leave their cars, absolutely. But people aren't going to get out of their cars. They're going to find other routes, and it'll be just, the cars will be displaced, causing further congestion and pollution and everything else. But anyway, that's it, and thank you for the presentation.
Once again, thank you very much for the replies. But I do sense, though, that you have a view that has been there from day one, that you use the active travel section no better than the community. And I think that's wrong, and that's the wrong approach to take. If you want to improve the bus time for the 73 bus, get onto the NTA and ask them to make sure the bus turns up on time, because it's not. What you're effectively doing and using bus efficiency as one of the main factors that you're addressing in this particular proposal, you're diverting the bus. So I was on that 73 bus last week. It was off-peak time, something like 7 o'clock in the evening. No traffic on front of us. Bus goes through. Now, what you're proposing that if this goes in, that bus is going to loop into a side road, out onto Dolphin Road, and then turn. You're going to delay the bus. There may be an argument, and this has been accepted by the dynamic Drimmer people, to do not a 24/7 closure, but to have a peak time bus gate or something like that. Right? I'll see how that works. It's not going to cost a fortune. I think it will help. And looking at how that would work afterwards in terms of surveys and traffic and the build-up in other roads because of that bus gate at peak time. But it would only be at peak time, and people could time their journeys out there. If you look at the census for Drimna, one of the important things is that much lower car ownership than nationally, right? And the reason is that the people of Drimna use public transport. That's the reason. They have lower car ownership. Check the census. So I'm asking again, go back and be realistic, listen to the people, and let's see how we can work together to improve that junction and indeed other parts of the Drimna infrastructure which was ruled outside the scope of this particular project, and it shouldn't have been, because you can't do one thing without linking all the other things together. Thank you for your patience, Chair.
Yeah, just very briefly. Look, I mean, the people of Drimna and Drimna Dynamic, I've been across this for quite some time. It isn't people in cars who are versing your plan. This is a community, voice that wants to be heard. It's not people in cars. It's 900 households, by the way, because again, you have to add in those particular numbers. In relation to the bodies you just mentioned, the Dublin Cycling Campaign and Doctors for the Environment, they're lobbyists. They are part of Dublin City Council. They're on the Traffic and Transport SPC. Our colleagues from the Green Party are also lobbyists. They also want this to push through. But on the same hand, these groups and these individuals, when it comes to wearing a helmet, which is the most safest thing we on a bike, refuse point blank to support the wearing of a helmet. I'm not looking for legislation, so I think you need to go back to the drawing board here, and I think you need to listen to the community. We all want a safe city, without doubt. We all want a city that's a slower pace. We all want a city that's safe to be able to cycle, walk, etc. This is not going to deliver that. This is going to antagonise the community like you did on Strand Road. The other aspect of it is, Councillor Lacey, is that, and we've said this time and time again, that the process of the consultation is deeply, deeply flawed, and it's biased, and it needs to be looked at and examined. Now, if Dublin City Council in its entirety isn't prepared to look at that, well, then we'll have to muster up the money to be able to independently, scientifically look at these data and look at these facts and look at who's. But you need to include people with all due respect. And remember, at the end of the day, as far as I'm aware, the NTA is paying for this through active travel. So the point of the matter is, the NTA are not here. The NTA don't have the legislation. And if the NTA had Section 38 of the Road Traffic Act, we wouldn't be sitting here. They'd be running amok. Our reputation as city councillors, our reputation as staff in Dublin City Council, that I'm extremely proud of, and I do see the improvements of the city, are being undermined here by a particular process because our paymasters are telling us to do this, that, and the other in the brand new. And as Councillor Dunn pointed out, the bus will be diverted around the whole rigmarole to get to a particular point, and God knows what could happen at that junction at any one given point. I'm all on for safety, but I think we need to go back to the drawing board and we need to listen to a very, very good, solid community that's been there for generations. And again, at the end of the day, I don't know anybody wouldn't swap their car tomorrow morning to be able to walk, cycle, and get a proper bus or a proper train to where they're going. Thank you.
Councillor Flynn, and just before calling Councillor Moore, just to stress one thing. It's a perfectly legitimate thing for people to lobby and to be engaged. And in fact, the city needs more people to be engaged. And sometimes you can be a very small organisation playing an important role and sometimes big one. So I have no problems with anybody lobbying and engaging with the city. I happen to agree, however, with Councillor Flynn. I'll put it to you this way, the NTA don't loom very high in the bodies that I have great respect for, to put it mildly. But it is a right of organisations and citizens to come together and to lobby. So we shouldn't be critical of that. In fact, we should admire them in some ways. Councillor Moore. No, that's fair. That's fair enough. Transparent lobbying, but it's people have a right to come together. Okay, Councillor Moore.
Chair, am I able to speak or am I being spoken over in the chamber again? I just want to clarify, I agree entirely with you that people have a right to lobby for their own particular interests. Just for Councillor Flynn's, just to kind of clarify, I'm attending this meeting as a public representative who, and the area I represent includes Drimna. I'm not giving my opinion on this scheme as a lobbyist. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not employed as a lobbyist. I'm a public representative, just as Councillor Flynn is, and I would like to have that remark withdrawn, and I would like to be treated and have my opinion on this scheme treated with the same respect as any other public representative. I agree with Councillor Flynn that given the choice, a vast number of people would actually like to leave their cars behind in the morning to walk, cycle or take public transport. But the reality that Councillor Flynn doesn't seem to accept is that if we don't make it safe, efficient and reliable for people to make those options, the option isn't available to the vast majority of people. And this is the juncture that we're at. So I appreciate the Active Travel Programme and the work they're doing to try and reconfigure the city to give people options basically in how they want to travel. I am somebody who travels primarily on a bike, sometimes on the bus, sometimes in a car, but I am not a lobbyist. I am a public representative and an elected representative for the area of Kimadrath Mines, including Drimna. Thank you.
Thanks. So as long as I'm chair, every member of this council will be treated with the same respect. Okay, back to you, Chris or Gronia.
Yeah, so in terms of the bus priority and the possibility of having a peak time only bus gate, that option would still be available. But what is important is that we reconfigure the junction so that it operates efficiently and safer for all modes. We will have options based on the layout that we have presented today, which is the final layout. We will have the options of having either 24-hour bus gate or a peak-only bus gate, and we are willing to continue to engage with the members and the community in respect of the operation of the bus gate. So that's on that substantive item. The second, I suppose, question relates to the decision-making process. So the decision rests with the executive. However, before we proceed to construction, we notify full council under section 138 that we intend to proceed with the works. And if there is need for any further discussion, it can still be held
Chris, just to help this discussion along, when would you think, I'm just thinking in terms of finding, agreements along the way, when do you think such a section 138 would come before the council?
It is most likely probably at the April.
Okay, so there's time for people still to discuss.
There's time for people to discuss, but notwithstanding that, our preference at all times is to have consensus with the area members, not the full council, because they know, and again, it's what we are discussing here, that they have a very good understanding more than anybody of the local issues. So our preference is between now and March, those outstanding, which is principally the operation of the bus gate, we can discuss that further, and we have noted the concerns raised by Councillor Kinsella Councillor Dunn and Councillor Flynn and Councillor Moore there, and we can update the members before in advance of submitting our Section 138 notice.
Okay, can I, last question.
Just very briefly, there is a policy in relation to Part 8 in terms of public consultation. Is there such a policy document that I can get my hands on in relation to active travel in these public consultations?
Section 138.
But the public consultation process, I know in Part 8 there is, but on this, I don't see a document.
Let's try and get an answer.
Yes, there is a guidance document from the Department of Transport, and we are happy to circulate that to all members.
Okay, well, look, I think this is an important junction. I hope you get it right. I'm not going to interfere in the local aspects of it, but hopefully through dialogue you can deliver a safer crossing and a positive Drimna response, if that's possible. Okay, thanks very much to both of you. Okay, we're going to have a roll call.